Welcome back to our channel where history meets numismatics. Today we're diving into a revolutionary piece of technology immortalized in coin, the 2021 New Hampshire Innovation Dollar. This isn't just any coin, it celebrates Ralph Baer, the man who pioneered home video gaming. Let's get into how a simple box transformed our living rooms into digital playgrounds. In this episode, we explore the 2021 New Hampshire Innovation Dollar, a coin that honors an invention which has shaped the entertainment industry worldwide. The first home video game console by Ralph Baer. Before we jump in, let me quickly explain how we'll explore this fascinating coin. To give you the best view of its design, we'll first look at an illustrated image of the coin. This helps us see every detail clearly without any distractions from glare or focus issues. After discussing its rich history and design, we'll examine the actual coin through close-up footage on a coin microscope, showcasing the real-world charm of this innovative dollar. Ralph Baer, often hailed as the father of video games, began a project in 1966 that would forever change entertainment. His exploration into playing games on a television led to the creation of the brown box, a prototype that allowed multiplayer, multi-program interaction. In 1967, Ralph Baer and his colleagues at Sanders Associates Incorporated developed a prototype for the first multiplayer, multi-program video game system. Since Sanders hoped to license the technology for a commercial venture, Baer understood that the games had to be fun or investors and consumers would not be interested. In an oral history interview, Ralph Baer recalled the minute we played ping pong, we knew we had a product. Before that, they weren't too sure. Originally called TV Game Unit Number 7, much like Baer's first attempt at creating a video game known as the Pump Unit, it became far better known by its nickname, the Brown Box. The name comes from the brown wood grain, self-adhesive vinyl used to make the prototype look more attractive to potential investors. The brown box, though only a prototype, had basic features that most video game consoles still have today: 2 controllers and a multi-game program system. The brown box could be programmed to play a variety of games by flipping the switches along the front of the unit, as can be seen in the picture that we are going to look at shortly. Program cards were used to show which switches needed to be set for specific games. Brown box games included ping pong, checkers, 4 different sports games, target shooting with the use of a light gun, and a golf putting game which required the use of a special attachment. Sanders licensed the brown box to Magnavox, which released the system as the Magnavox Odyssey in 1972. Let's now take a look at the image of the New Hampshire Innovation Dollar. The design elements reflect the ingenuity of Baer's invention. Notice how the imagery on the coin symbolizes the evolution of video games from simple concepts to complex, immersive experiences. The reverse design depicts Ralph Baer's brown box game, Handball. On the right side of the coin, the left side of the coin features New Hampshire and Player One on an incused background. In-home video game system and Ralph Baer encircle the outside of the coin on a text that is meant to pay homage to Ralph Baer's Odyssey game. The design of the coin is also symbolic of an arcade token. Baer's invention laid the groundwork for all video game systems that followed. We'll delve into how the brown box evolved into today's sophisticated gaming consoles and its impact on both technology and culture. So before we take a look any further at the development of the video game system, let's first acknowledge that the sculptor of this coin is Eric David Custer, and the designer of this coin is Christina Hess, and you can see their initials circled. This is, to me, an odd coin, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's designed sideways. And I'm assuming that's because in the original Pong game, there were 2 I don't know. I'm just sort of taking stabs at it. But yeah, the coin is designed sideways, and I can definitely tell you that I don't have the orientation wrong. This is the way it's meant to be viewed. By A, this is the way on the Mint website, this is the way the coin is shown. And B, if you look at the initials that we circled, for Eric David Custer and Christina Hess, you can see that the initials are oriented towards us reading it this way. Anyhow, let's progress to the development of video games. And video games come in or are recognized by the generation of the progression of technology. So, for example, the first generation of video games was between 1972 and 1980. And don't get confused, the 1980, this doesn't signify that these are the only video games that came out in those years. What the last part of it, the 1980 part of it, symbolizes is when these various games stopped getting any kind of support or further development from their manufacturers. So the brown box, which was then turned into the Magnavox Odyssey, we can see here. The Atari Pong game, which was the prelude to the other Atari games that came out, and the Coleco Telstar all came out in the early 70s. In the second generation, once again, 1992, meaning this is when any sort of support stopped for these games. We had the Fairchild Channel F, the Atari 2600, which I had, and I even had that adventure game that's sitting on the console in this image, and the Mattel Intellivision. My cousins had an Intellivision. I never played it, but I always saw it when we would go visit. So this is the second generation. The third generation of video games from 1983 and then support ending in 2003 was the Sega Master System, the Atari 7800, and the Nintendo Entertainment System. And apparently I put two M's in system. I must have really been excited about the word system. And I had a Nintendo, an NES, Nintendo Entertainment System also at some point in my life. Then fourth generation, we had the NEC TurboGrafx 16, the Sega Genesis, the SNK Neo Geo, and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I never had a Super NES. I had a Sega Genesis, though, at some point. Fifth generation, we had the Sega Saturn. That's fifth generation is when the Sony PlayStation came out. And also fifth generation is the Nintendo 64. Sixth generation, we had the Sega Dreamcast, the Sony PlayStation 2, the Nintendo GameCube, and the original Xbox. And sixth generation was from 1998 to 2013. Then there was a seventh and eighth generation that I didn't bother to put in because seventh generation is the Nintendo Wii and then just Xbox 360. It's just what's out there now getting their next version of it. So the Nintendo Wii was seventh generation. The Nintendo Wii U was eighth generation. And then ninth generation, the only things that are left for ninth generation are Sony PlayStation and Xbox. As far as video game consoles that are kind of getting updated and advancing. But now I believe that we are ready to take a look at the actual coin itself. And here we are taking a look at the actual coin itself. And I have to say that I like it. I don't know if I'm willing to put it in my top 4 yet, but of course I had an Atari, and then I had a Sega. I had a Sega Genesis. I didn't get the NES until I was probably in my 20s. And yeah, I like it. I once again, it's science-y, it's video games. It's something that almost all of us can relate to as far as any of these coins go, because it's something that took place in our lifetime that's still taking place. So it's part of our current history, in my opinion. So yes, very, very well done, New Hampshire. Very well done, U.S. Mint. I do like this. If any of you all have any questions, comments, criticisms, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And if you don't want to leave them in the comment section, feel free to send me an email. My address is always in the description of the videos, and you can ask your question or leave your comment in an email if you'd prefer that. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you are fascinated by how a simple box sparked a global entertainment revolution, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more stories behind innovative coins. Thank you for joining us as we uncovered the history behind the 2021 New Hampshire Innovation Dollar. Stay tuned for our next episode, and we're going to continue to explore coins that commemorate American innovations. Keep collecting and keep curious.